Om. 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 Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiv Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritaat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiv Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritaat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiv Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritaat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabho Prashant Sai Bhutatma Dharmatma Shri Dhanvantari Amsha Shri Satya Saine Mama Prarthana Uttishta Shoka Sankata Dukkha Nivarana Mahakripa Kataksha Pahimam पाहि मां पाहि. Om Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabho Prashant Sai Bhutatma Dharmatma Shri Dhanvantari Amsha Shri Satya Saine Mama Prarthana Uttishta Shoka Sankata Dukkha Nivarana Mahakripa Kataksha Pahimam Pahimam Pahi. Om Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabho Prashant Sai Bhutatma Dharmatma Shri Dhanvantari Amsha Shri Satya Saine Mama Prarthana Uttishta Shoka Sankata Dukkha Nivarana Mahakripa Kataksha Pahimam Pahimam Pahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam to all.
Sairam, and good evening to all the devotees of our Sai Sparshan, and welcome to this today's Satsang Talk, which is online Satsang Talk, 53rd session. And with Swami's grace, we will proceed further. And today she is Plavanama Samvatsara, Sri Dakshinayana, Grishma Ritu, Ashadha Masa, Krishna Paksha, Chaturdashi. And today is a Shinivasara, Sthirivasara, attributed to the worship of Sri Tirumala, Sri Venkateshwara, Sri Shanishwara, Navagraha, Devatas, Hanuman, Maruti Anjaneya, Swamis, Sakaleta Swarupa Sri Shirdi Sai Baba and Satya Sai Baba. With the blessings, the lotus feet of Swami, we will start further. And just as a reminder, tomorrow happens to be the last day of the Ashadha Masa in the Amavasya. Tomorrow is called the Bhimana Amavasya. And this is attributed to the worship of Jyotir Bhimeshwara. That is Sri Ishvara, who is the Pati of everyone. That's why not only Umapati, he is a Jagatpati. Jyotir Bhimeshwara Puja is attributed to the worship of the husband by many wives or many housewives in the country. But actually, the real purpose is worshiping Jyoti Bhimeshwara, keeping the light and keeping the Jyoti and worshipping the Bhimeshwara. That means that their husband's wealth and health, particularly health, be as strong as Bhima. And Jyotir Bhimeshwara, the Ishvara in the form of Bhima, protecting the health of everyone and also protect their progeny. And then the Shravana Masa is starting from Monday, that is day after tomorrow. And as all of us know, Shravana Masa is a very auspicious month. And from Monday, we will be rolling into the Shravana Masa. And then a couple of functions or festivals will start in the Shravana Masa, Shravana Bhadrapada. And that's why Shravana Masa, the 12th is Nagar Chaturthi, and followed by 13th is the Nagara Panchami. A lot of people worship the Nagadevatas on those days. And then 14th is the that 14th and also is the Shravana Shanivara, which means the next Shanivara, Saturday, our online satsang is Shravana, first Shravana Shanivara, because there will be Shravana Shanivaras, which are again very auspicious in all the Venkateshwara temples and the Hanuman temples, etc., and the Shiva temples. And also this 20th of this month, August, is Varamaha Lakshmi Vrata, and then 21st and 22nd are the Upakarmas, the Rugupakarma and the Ejurupakarma. This is just the calendar of events for our next week, just for as a reminder. And then we'll roll into the topic of today. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, significance of his advent and his disciples and associates, and the just definition of Hamsa, Paramahamsa, and Parivajikacharya. And although these are all very intrinsic kind of definitions and a lot of adhyatmic values, what we can do, because it's a very big study. And like Swami, our Sat Sai Baba, and also Sri Sai Baba, there are hundreds and hundreds of books which talk about their various stories and their leelas and mahimas and significance. Similarly, about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, there are hundreds and hundreds of books and lot of volume of material available. But because of our constriction of time, we will restrict it. And today, hopefully, we will call it as part 1. And if you are not able to complete the full story and other things which we need to do, we will again continue it in the next week also as part 2. I'll say as part 1. And then the general definition of Hamsa. The Hamsa in actually is also, we call Hamsa Vahini. And the Hamsa is referred as a white swan, and which is very pure. And purity is its quality. And also it's called Hamsa Kshira Nyaya. If it is put into the water and a few drops of milk, and in the ocean of water, even a few drops of milk, it can go and filter and take it. That's why any judgment or any kind of purity is called Hamsa Kshira Nyaya. And the person, similarly, whose mind is similarly pure, is called Hamsa. Like we call Sadhu, we call Guru, Jagat Guru, Sadguru. Like that, Hamsa is also a kind of a designation of a person who has got purity of mind and who has not been afflicted by any of the worldly problems and the worldly attachments. And therefore, like Hamsa, which filters milk from water and swallows only milk, and it chooses purity among impurities. And similarly, our mind has to become a Hamsa. And that's what one of the kind of designations or stages that we'll have to pass through in our so-called satsang activity. And then once that we get qualified as Hamsa, like a graduate to become a double graduate, it's a Paramahamsa. The Paramahamsa stage is the higher stage of the Hamsa stage, where for a person who is called Paramahamsa, because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is called Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And why he is called Paramahamsa? And not everyone. Like Sadguru, Jagadguru, Adiguru, like Shankaracharya was called Adiguru. So these are all certain stages at which it is kind of a people adore them with that, not that they call themselves. Nobody can call I am Paramahamsa. So Paramahamsa is not a title, it's not a designation, it is not the end. It is a kind of a, by their activity, people tend to call them with devotion and as that Paramahamsa. That means filters, the Sadguru filters all external and unwanted thoughts from mind and it gets fixed only on thoughts of God. And all the seconds and minutes of 24 bar 7, he is always in the thoughts of God and spiritually he is connected with the Paramatma. And like many a time, Swami used to say, Dhyana takes person to a kind of a stage of Samadhi, Sama Adi. Even Krishna used to tell in Bhagavad Gita, the Samadhi state is the best stage for a Bhakta and for the Dhyana stage. And then such a person is also called Chita Pragna. In the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, Chita Pragna Lakshana. That's our attributes are called. And for the Samadhi and Samadarshana stage. And also it's called transcendental meditation. And it is the Samadhi state when it is achieved and it's unaffected by sorrow, the happiness, the cold or hot, and it's a good, bad, hunger, food, shelter, place, time, name, forum, high or low, all this thing will not bother us. And when such a thing happens, that he is said to be in the state of Paramahamsa state. And in their mind, always in their heart and the mind, God dances in their minds and hearts. We have already heard about Tulsidasa, Tyagaraja, Meera, and many other avatars and many other the disciples and the devotees, and being afflicted to the thinking of God and always attracted and attached to Him, and they detach themselves from all the worldly things. So this is the Paramahamsa. And that's why today's our story we call it Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Parivrajakacharya means person who has again left everything. Therefore, they do not have something like their house, something like their kind of attachments, their luggage, their wealth, their furnitures, and all these things. Nothing. They do not have anything under their kind of head and above their head. There was nothing. And only the sky is the roof for them. And they call sky is their shelter. And the wind and other things are their food. Wind and the water and the earth and the fruits from the trees. And that's what happens to them in that kind of their stage. And that's why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as a Parivrajaka means the person who has detached themselves from everything. That is some kind of a parivara. Parivara is what your companion. All the parivaras are left. Parivraja. Parivraja is just leaving everything, dispensing with everything, and surrendering yourselves with the Parivrajakatva. And then such people, Lord of Swamijis and others of Sringeri Mata and others are called Parivajakacharyas. And they would have had just left everything, along not only their homes, not only their families, but everything from their mind, except God. Like Swami used to say, I am your friend, I am your companion. Like Swami used to say, when Swami alone becomes our companion and our friend and our guru, then we also can become Paramahamsas. And therefore, now with this small preamble, we will go to the story of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was earlier called Gadadhar, which we will get into the story, and later he became Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The parentage and birth and the boyhood. In the Hooghly district of West Bengal, there is a village called Kamarpukur. The Kamarpukur is a small village, and in the Kamarpukur village, there are three small villages looking like three quarters the same village, and it is the birthplace of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The village was then a self-contained and self-sufficient unit. The people are happy, peaceful, and prosperous. Besides agriculture, small industries were the main sources of livelihood. The village consisted of people of many castes, both high and low, and there were many tanks and ponds full of lotuses and like kind of lilies and all that. Kamarpukur was a beautiful, serene spot. Why description of this is given here? Like in such a good place, like in Puttaparthi, Swami was born on November 23rd, 1926. Similarly here, the entire, particularly when the avatars take place, God would have made arrangements for where to land and where to be born and which is their place and who are there going to be parents. The parentage, birth, and boyhood, and everything would have been decided by God before he takes birth. Similarly, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, since he is also an avatar of Vishnu, and therefore, before his advent, all other preparations were done on the earth. And therefore, in the Kamarpakar lived a pious couple called Kudiram and Chandra Devi. And they were great devotees and of Sri Rama. Because Sri Ramachandra or Raghuvira was their family god and family deity, and they were worshipping them, both Kudiram and Chandra Devi. And Kudiram once made a pilgrimage to Varanasi and Gaya. And as much as the thing, pilgrimage means, a lot of people, they used to say, if a person being born in the Hindu, if he cannot visit Varanasi or Gaya, particularly, it is not worth because living alive, and because unless they go to Varanasi and worship the Vishwanatha and Gaya Gadadhara and Vishnupada and the Vatavruksha, if they don't visit, then there will be no relief, particularly for their kind of Pitrus. And for Pitru Shraddhas and Pitru Shraddha, Pinda Pradhana, the Vishnupada of Gaya is very famous. And at Gaya, one day he went to Vishnu temple there, and the Vishnupada is very famous and very auspicious. And on that, the Pitru Tarpana and the Pitru Pinda is offered. And our Pitrus will come and take it from the Vishnupada. And that's the belief. And offered worship there. Having returned from the temple, he fell asleep and had a wonderful dream. He saw himself in the same Vishnu temple filled with divine light. There was an effulgent being sat on a wonderful throne. That divine being told Kudiram, I am greatly pleased with your devotion and spiritual sadhana. I am the Vishnu Bhagavan. And to bless you more, I shall be born as your son in your house. Similarly, when Satyasai Baba was born, similarly, Vishnu himself decided that he will be born there, and he took birth. And similarly, Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, he was overjoyed, this Kudiram, father, was overjoyed that his dream was broken, but then he felt sure that some divine soul will be born in his family, because that happened after the visit of the temple in Gaya. And Chandra Devi also, because once husband having a kind of a dream is one, but Chandra Devi, wife, also had similar vision. In a dream, while her husband was away on the pilgrimage, she saw a divine being lying on the bed beside her in the form of an infant. In another such experience, she saw a divine effulgence come from an idol of Shiva in a temple rushing towards her. Finally, the light entered into her. Amazed, she fell down unconscious on the temple floor. And it same thing happened in our Shirdi Sai Baba's birth, and also with Swami, which we all know from our studies of Sathya Sai Baba and Shirdi Sai Baba stories. And similarly here, both wife and husband, Kudiram and Chandra Devi, shared their visions and spiritual experience with each other and felt very happy. Soon after that, Chandra Devi was in the family way. She became pregnant. Thereafter, she had more divine visions every day. In the due course of time, February 18, 1836, a boy was born to them. Kudiram named him as Gadadhar because he was born after the visit to the Gaya Gadadhara Vishnupadam temple. And about Gadadhara means the mace bearer. The Gada means mace. And remembering his vision in the Vishnu temple at Gaya. Gadadhar is another name of the Lord Vishnu. And that's why it's called Gaya Gadadhara Parinatu. And whenever a Shraddha is done, a ceremony, that they say Gaya Gadadhara Parinatu. And therefore, that is a very important thing. So Vishnu has 4 hands. One holds a Shankha or a conch shell, another the Sudarshan Chakra, third a Gada or a mace, and the fourth a Padma or a lotus. Therefore, this Gadadhara or Gada, the Kudaram himself was a learned Brahmin and expert astrologer. He cast the Gadaram's horoscope and found it very auspicious. So assured some of the divine mission his son was destined to fulfill. That's what the horoscope was showing. Besides Gangadhara, earlier, Kudiram had also another 4 children. Kudiram and Chandradevi had already had 2 sons and 2 daughters. Therefore, Gadadhar, Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, who later became Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, was the 5th child. And first one was called Ramkumar, and he was the eldest. Then came the girl called Katyayini. And then the third was called Rameshwar, because he was born after their visit to Rameshwar. Rameshwar was the third in the sequence. And then the other girl called Sarva Mangala, the Gauri. And thus, Gadadhara was the youngest child, the 5th child of the couple. And gradually, Gangadhara grew into fearless, healthy, affectionate, and truthful lad. At the age of 5, he was admitted to the village school. He became expert in mimicry and learned many, many songs. And hymns by heart, which he sang sweetly, never used to even refer to any book. Again, we have a comparison Swami, how he did it in Bukkapattanam and other places. And we have seen Kamalapur and Puttaparthi. Again, we remember. And all this thing. Whatever Swami had done. Similarly, here Ramakrishna also, and that's been Gadadhara, was not interested in any other things. He knew much before what the teachers could teach. But he had a dislike for arithmetic. He would roam about the village both in company of his friends and all alone. And he ever visited whichever supposed to be haunted by the evil spirits like the witches and ghosts, etc. And fearlessness was a marked trait of his character, which became stronger and stronger with the passage of time. In 1843, when Gangadhara was just about 7 years old, his father, Khudiram, passed away and peacefully uttering the name of Lord Rama, that means the Raghuvira, who was their family deity. It was a great loss to the family. Gadadhara felt so deeply sad and in consequence became more introvert, thoughtful, and meditative. And from that day, he became a little different person. He developed a liking for only the holy men and used to go and meet the holy people, the sadhus, and spend all his time in their company and not going to study or not going to school. He would visit them, waited on them, served them in many, many ways as he could. He took part in the discussions and listened to the learned Brahmin, Pandits, and monks with great admission. Once a group of learned men were discussing a certain religious problem, which is very complicated mantra and complicated sequence. They argued and argued but could not reach a solution. But Gadadhara was present there, and young boy Gadadhara gave its solution very easily, and all were satisfied and less surprised, and no less surprised because such a young boy knew everything. Therefore, he was suddenly the avatar of Vishnu. And Gadadhara then was a boy of only 10. And he had early visions. From his early childhood, Gadadhara had begun to have visions and trances. He used to go to trances. That's what we call the kind of samadhi state. On one occasion, he was playing the part of Shiva in a dramatic performance. He played the part of Shiva so naturally and perfectly that the audience were wonderstruck. But then he fell into a deep trance because he became Shiva himself. Since already he was an avatar of Vishnu, who also is a Shiva, and he went into a deep trance, which continued for nearly 3 days. 3 days he could not be woken up. The boy's innate spirituality continued to grow more and more throughout his boyhood and adolescence. He would often fall into a trance and become senseless to all the external stimuli. Wherever and whenever he heard a devotional song or talk, it alarmed his mother Chandra Devi. But as a mother, naturally, she felt sorrowful as to what is happening to his boy. Similarly to our Swami, as his parents and brother, as we all know, it took him to even the mantrics and others to get him treated. Similarly here, but she felt reassured finding that it did not have any adverse effect on his health and anybody. And however, Gadadhar reached such, Gadadhar, instead of reading his school books, he used to always take religious books as Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, and Artha and other things with keen interest and devotion. He used to study that. He often recited excerpts from these to the simple, unlettered and uneducated village folk to the great elite in education. Sometimes without even reading the book, just seeing the book, he used to recite the entire thing in the book. And a turning point happened. Meanwhile, Ramkumar, the elder brother of Gadadhar, found it difficult to make both ends meet. Although he was running a school, he didn't find it easy to run it in Calcutta. His wife had died, leaving behind an infant boy. He had to look after him, and his mother Chandradevi was getting old and already old and weak. He was increasingly getting into debt. So he left Kamarpukur and opened a Sanskrit school in Calcutta. Even that ran into an economical problem. And then Ramkumar took Gadadhar, the youngest boy, along with him to Calcutta also, and in order that he could be educated there, and with the hope that he could become a better educated boy. But again, Gadadhar by that time was 16 years of age. It proved a turning point in Gadadhar's spiritual life. Gadadhar assisted his brother Ramkumar in the school and also beside worked as a family priest to have some extra income. Gadadhar's devotion, sincerity, and great sense of duty impressed everyone who came, rather showed a deep dislike for the kind of bread earning education being impaired than in Calcutta. He said, what is the use of getting that only bread earning education? Instead of that, the spiritual thing gives the bread for everyone in the world and also gives your spiritual bread. As the time went by, Ramkumar's financial difficulties grew back to back, but he surrendered himself to the will of God, and Raghuvir, whom he worshipped, allowed the event to take care of their own course. When Ramkumar was like passing through such a financial difficulty, he was offered the priesthood of the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar. At that time, the great lady, benevolent lady, Rani Rasamati, had built at an expanse of lakhs of rupees at that age or at that time on the banks of the holy river Ganges. And that's where the Dakshineshwar stands. And Dakshineshwar, whoever has visited that, can see the wonderful serene beauty of that, where The Ganga river flows in one place, and the Dwadasha Jyotirlingas are installed in one place, and the Radha Krishna and the Vishnu temples are in one side, and the great Kali Mata's temple, and also Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Sharda Devi's abodes are also there. The wonderful thing of Dakshineshwar. The Rani was a widow. The Rani Rasamati was a widow, but a great devotee of Mother Goddess Kali. She had inherited a large wealth by and property from her late husband. Her son-in-law, the Mathur Mohan Babu, was also a religious as well as worldly man. He managed Rani Rasamati all the affairs because her daughter had died, and only her son-in-law was looking after. Mathur Babu or Mathur Mohan was looking after all their activities. And when he saw Gadadhara for the first time in the temple premises, he was very much impressed by Gadadhar was a very beautiful looking person and also full of purity of life and thought, and that is spiritual radiance which surrounded his face. He offered Gadadhar a permanent position as assistant priest at the temple of Vishnu, Radha Krishna temple. For that Radha Krishna Vishnu temple, the Gadadhar was being a priest, and Ram Kumar, elder brother, was as a priest in Kali Devi temple, which he reluctantly accepted after much persuasion. He didn't want to become anything. In fact, one of the things of Paramahamsa is not to become anything, whereas we have got desire to become everything. Everything we grab, everything we want. Whereas the Paramahamsa me leaves everything. I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. And that's what the stage. As years rolled by, the health of Ram Kumar became poor and poor until he died unexpectedly in 1856. But by that time, he had groomed Gadadhara, his youngest brother, well to replace him as the head priest at the Kali temple as early as possible. For that, some kind of initiation had to be done, and he was already initiated to do the Kali Puja. Because the Kali Puja and the Devi Puja are kind of very puristic pujas. Everybody cannot do it. Every priest is not permitted to do it. And they had to be initiated into the Kali or the Devi pujas. And then the Dakshineshwar temple, which is 4 miles of north of Calcutta. In fact, it is very close from the Calcutta airport. That's about 5-6 miles and about 10 kilometers. And within half an hour, you can reach Dakshineshwar temple from the airport. And it's on the banks of the river Ganga. The temple complex has 2 main temples, one dedicated to Mother Goddess Kali and another Radhakanta or Radha and Krishna. And then there are a number of small shrines, including those dedicated to Shiva, and there are 12 Jyotirlingas there. And soon after accepting the office of the priest, he became popularly known as Ramakrishna. Therefore, person was called Gadadhara, became Ramakrishna. Perhaps this name was given to him by Mathur Babu only. Soon it gained currency and became popular. He was started being called as Ramakrishna. This time another person called Hridaya, a nephew of Ramakrishna, also joined at Dakshineshwar. He was born from Bardwan and a cousin of Ramakrishna. And Hridaya was in search of some employment and so was too glad to join his uncle Ramakrishna at the temple. Hridaya was then 16 and Ramakrishna was just 20 years. And that's how their relationship and friendship went for next 25 years. Ramakumar's death was another shock which further increased Ramakrishna's thirst for spiritual sadhana. He was now passionately attached to Mother Kali and resolved to have her vision. Because every day when he was doing puja, it was not like ordinary priest who will do it for the sake of doing it mechanically. But his heart and mind was always at adorning and doing the ornamentation of the goddess Kali and doing all the worship very, very properly. But it used to take long time. And many a time he used to go on talking with the Kali Devi as if that Kali Devi was standing near him. And in fact, for him, she was almost doing that. And he used to dress her like many a time the people spend a lot of time in dressing the small children. And he went on singing sweet songs in praise of the mother and meditated on a nearby forest. And the austerities and sadhana increased and became intense day by day. And many a times you would never know what time would have been lapsed. And he would not take food also, no rest. He was not satisfied. And with walking fast on the path of devotion, he began to run and would often pray to Mother, "Oh Mother, my only refuge, why don't you show yourself to me as you did to Ram Prasad and others in the past?" And he was crying and he was asking for that and pleading. Hridaya could not understand all this. He was it is madness. Why? In many a temple there are some priests who are not bothered so much. Why is Ramakrishna so intensely attached to this? He was awestruck to see the master Ramakrishna so intensely absorbed in puja and meditation. Hridaya sometimes thought his uncle had gone even mad. And that's what happens. Even for Swami, a lot of people thought that spiritual madness, when it comes, people often think them because since they are different. And for others who are otherwise mad after riches, the people are mad with spirituality. They appear more madder to them. And for Ramakrishna, the image of Kali became a living presence at whose lotus feet he so lovingly offered his devotion. And one day Ramakrishna grew desperate, for till then he could not have the vision of mother, although he was able to imagine her in her mind. But he did not have the physical darshan, in spite of intense devotion effort. Therefore, he decided to end his life and rushed to see the sword at hanged in the temple in the hands of the Kali idol. Then he had a wonderful vision and fell down senseless. He saw a vast ocean of light. The waves of light were surging towards him. He sank down into the flood of light and pleased and became unconscious. Possessed by the divine and the universal mother, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa began to see her everywhere. Whatever object he could see, it became Kali, Kali, Kali Mata. He saw her in the temple, outside the courtyard, in the river, and in the forest, every tree, every branch. In the shrine, he saw the living mother instead of her image. He didn't think it is a stone image. It is not stone image. It is the mother, live Kali. Now he had to make no effort for revision. Ramakrishna behaved very abnormally. He would dance, stagger, laugh, sing simultaneously like a madman. And Rudaya got alarmed with it. One day he saw the master offering the food to a cat which was meant to be offered to Kali in puja. For even that cat was appearing like Kali to him. And temple people could not understand or appreciate his strange behavior. They complained to Mathur Babu. And Mathur Babu, being the administrator, was convinced of Ramakrishna's great spiritual height, but and also ordered that he was not to be disturbed or interfered in his interfered in his sadhana present. And the sadhana went on, like the sadhana camp about which we are planning today. The sadhana. What is the sadhana? Sadhana is a great kind of experience, and it is a continuous experience, not one day's affair. It is a continuous experience. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had fully realized the mother Kali. He had become an innocent and devout child. He passed through various phases of sadhana. Then he began the sadhana of Lord Rama as his personal servant and devotee. Once you are thinking Lord Rama as his personal servant and devotee. Once you are thinking, I am a personal servant and God is the devotee. For this purpose, he adopted the attitude of Hanuman, Rama's greatest devotee. Ramakrishna behaved, ate his food, walked and did everything like the monkey god Hanuman. And he did on aping it and also did on going and imitating. There were many a time the God-loving people imitate God and become God. He completely forgot his own identity, jumped here and there like a monkey, ate fruits and roots with the skin fully absorbing devotion to Rama. During the sadhana, he realized Bhagavan Rama and had a wonderful vision of Mother Sita along with Ramachandra. He saw with his eyes wide open, the luminous form of Sita accompanied by a monkey. She entered into her body, the Kali Mata, and then overwhelmed with emotion, she fell down senseless on the ground. Sita Mata, accompanied with Kali, entered his body. Ramakrishna was very humble and innocent like a child, devoid of pride and egoism. He cleaned with his own hands the most dirty places and ate from the leaf plates of the poor visitors. He saw the expression of God in everything without any discrimination. For him, the man made divisions between the rich and the poor, high and the low, the caste Hindus and the untouchables are all meaningless. For him, all were equals as the children of Mother Kali. And actually, Rani Rasamati herself was from a lower caste, who actually brought him up, in sense, sustained him and supported him. Similarly, he practiced in turns every faith and had the desired relation. He was a living symbol of unity and diversity of religions. And when Ramakrishna and Mother Chandra Devi heard at Kamarpukur about the so-called madness of the master, she was full of anxiety. And even during the Upanayana that he was given and offered, in the Upanayana sing also, the first Bhiksha is called Matru Bhiksha. Instead of taking from the Matru Bhiksha or from the relation, he took it from a person called Dani, a kind of a low caste woman who was very fond of Ramakrishna at that time. And from that time, like our Swami, used to make no discrimination about the religion or caste of anybody. Similar Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also displayed same kind of equanimity. His abnormal behavior caused a great grief and restlessness. He would visit the village cremation grounds, offer sweets to the even jackals and demigods and ghosts and ghouls in the cremation grounds. He sat naked in deep meditation, sometimes without any cloth. And sometimes which Shri Sai Baba used to do prayer for hours together. When he became somewhat normal, his mother decided to marry him. She thought being married, Ramakrishna would perhaps become all right and relapse into the abnormal state and back to the normal one. And then a suitable girl was found in the village called Jairam Bhati, and Gangadhar or Gadadhar and Ramakrishna, Lord Gadadhar, who became Ramakrishna, agreed to the marriage, proposed without any demur, because he was not bothered who is going to marry him. Because of his mother was keen, he said, okay, that also happened. In the auspicious moment, Gadadhar got married in May 1859. The girl was called Sharadamani, And again, she was a Devi herself, the Sharda Devi, Bharana Shardamani, and she lived not as just a wife, but as a kind of a supporting role to the entire mission of Sri Ramakrishna. And it was relieved Chandradevi's anxiety to a great extent. And then Gadadhar remained at Kamarpukur for over a year and often then returned to Calcutta to Dakshineshwar to resume the charge of worship at the temple of Kali. The poverty at home also hastened his departure to Calcutta. When he returned to Dakshineshwar, Ramakrishna again relapsed into divine madness. This divine madness is a different state which you cannot do anything about it. At times he could not have even a wink of sleep at night. The realization of the mother at all time becomes a passion to him, for which he strived day and night for getting every other thing. Hearing of it, Chandradevi again resorted to a complete fast into death, unto death in a Shiva temple for the cure of her son. She prayed Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva assured her in a vision that Gadadhar was not mad at all and he was pursuing the spiritual path correctly and all was well with him. And he has been born to transform the world and not for his own working as one more husband and one more wife. And that he was in state of spiritual awakening. It reassured Chandra Devi. She returned home with a heart overflowing with thanks to Shiva. So during these days of sadhana, that Mathur Babu saw Ramakrishna, Shiva, and Mother Kali as he walked up and down. Mathur Babu could see this. It changed Mathur Babu's views towards Ramakrishna completely. He became his devotee. Henceforward, he began to regard Ramakrishna as the incarnation of God, and his faith was rewarded. And then Rani Rasmani died in 1861, and the Mathur Babu became the sole patron of Dakshineshwar and executor of the vast estate of Rani. He strove to please Ramakrishna and performed many acts of charity under the master's guidance. And the Kali temple became a center of various visiting monks, Brahmins, Pandit, and sadhus and seekers from all over India. And one early morning, a person called Bhairavi, in Bhairavi sadhu, that means lady, in ochre robes landed on the temple's ghats and went straight to Ramakrishna. She was endowed with extraordinary grace and spiritual beauty. No sooner did Ramakrishna see this Bhairavi than he became emotionally charged and spiritually excited. Approaching him, the Bhairavi exclaimed with joy, "At last, my child, I have found you. I know you would be found somewhere on the banks of the Ganga. I have come in search of you." And that's why sometimes when like God goes in search of people who are devoted to him, Ramakrishna asked Mother, "How did you know of me?" She replied, "I knew it all by the grace of universal Mother Kali." Then followed a long, delightful conversation between Ramakrishna and the Bhairavi gave a lot of instructions to him. She assured him that he was a chosen and blessed being and not mad at all, and he should continue. And in the afternoon, she cooked her own food and food offered to Raghuvira, Lord Sri Rama, and then Ramakrishna. She was the last to partake of it. And after a week or so, she shifted to nearby Devamandal Ghat, and from there, she came to daily for spiritual discourse and talk of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And Mathur Babu and others also, they would not believe it at first. Her revelation caused quite a commotion, and she was also a godly person, incarnation of God himself, and God herself. And similarly, Ramakrishna himself also was incarnation of Sri Vishnu. And Tantra Sadhana. Then Bhairavi initiated Ramakrishna into what is called Tantric Sadhana and discipline. She brought all the articles needed for the tantric rites from here and there and taught him how to use them. Through this sadhana to Ramakrishna merged into the Divine Mother and had many wonderful experiences. Consequently, Ramakrishna came to possess many extraordinary spiritual siddhis because of tantric powers, which later left him altogether as he did not desire them. Because tantric powers can take you only rajasic and also tamasic gunas and not the sattvic. And during this sadhana, Ramakrishna had many strange and wonderful experiences. His Kundalini Shakti was awakened, the great psychic power which remains sleeping in the lowest center of the human body. And he also heard of what is called Anahata Chakra, Anahata Nadi, and during Tantra practice. And then Ramalala. One day at Dakshineshwar temple came a sadhu called Jatadhari Baba, who was a great devotee of child Rama or Ramalala. He served, worshipped, and meditated child Rama. As a result, he had obtained wonderful vision of Rama as a child when he was still playing in the Ayodhya, in the palace. He always carried with him an image of child Rama, which became a living presence, like Balakrishna. He said Bala Rama. Till Babaji stayed at the temple, Ramakrishna spent most of his day time with him. Ramakrishna too became intimate with Ramalala, and they together played and made many games together. And Jatadhari Baba was happy to see Ramalala play with the master. And that Baba left, but Ramalala remained behind with Ramakrishna to be worshipped. Then Ramakrishna sometimes used to become so much spiritually excited. He used to think he is Radha, and then he is going and worshipping Krishna. He used to dress as Radha, and then he used to go and with a Madhura Bhava, because what they call Radha's Bhakti is called Madhura Bhakti. and the sweet mood, and with this initiation is to be done, and his worship was being done. Radha, the beloved of Krishna, is the best example of this sadhana of Madhura Bhakti. Ramakrishna taught himself of Radha, just like her, engaged in the service of Krishna, like Meera used to do. And just as a woman, he used to go and play with Krishna and listening to his flute. And she used to hear the flute kind of music from Krishna. The naked Totapuri. One day there came another great wandering monk, and this was called Totapuri. Was his name. He was, again, he had realized God. He was now in a pilgrimage. Now on a pilgrimage. He had been to Ganga Sagar. Ganga Sagar is the confluence of the Ganga river into the ocean, Bay of Bengal, and also Puri Jagannath. Wandering along the Gangas, he had come to Dakshineshwar. He never stayed under one roof and always partook of the alms as his food. He always remained naked. As soon as Ramakrishna was deeply impressed by his great spiritual powers, they were reflected to his face. Totapuri made Ramakrishna perform rites of a sannyasi and then taught him what is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It is the highest stage in the practice of sadhana. In it, sadhaka has a direct union with God and becomes one with God. Here, God is seen as an impersonal Brahman. The Naga Sadhu, Totapuri asked Ramakrishna to meditate on self, the Atman. Ramakrishna tried and tried, but failed many a time. Still, he didn't leave it. Every time he saw the form of the divine mother before him, Kali mother used to come and see him. He could not meditate on the formless Atman. For him, the image of Kali was more important, the formless Atman, which is meditated in this kind of samadhi. And at another 5-6 minutes, we are closing the part one. At the head of a large party of 125 persons, Mathur Babu set out on a pilgrimage. He requested Ramakrishna again and again to accompany him. Ramakrishna had to agree. First of all, they visited the famous shrine of Vaidyanath at Devgar. Nearby, that is also one of the Dwarish Jyotirlinga. Nearby village, Ramakrishna saw a crowd of people. Their condition was very poor. It moved Ramakrishna. He asked Mathur Babu to feed and clothe the helpless people. At first, Mathur Babu did not agree, like saying that if you are going on spending money on everyone, where is the money going to be? And but whereas when Ramakrishna pleaded and insisted on helping the poor people, he shed tears and refused to move from the place in case they are not helped. Then Ramakrishna's compassion was such, like again our Swami, who used to always go to poor people whenever he was traveling, he used to stop the car, and wherever there was a crowd, and he used to go and give darshan to the crowd and bless the poor and everyone. Same like Swami, Ramakrishna also was moved by a lot of things of poverty. At Varanasi, Ramakrishna had a wonderful vision of the holiest of the holy cities. And he saw it made of pure gold, full of holy monks and sadhus and rishis. And another vision, he saw Shiva and Parvati granting moksha to the people at Varanasi, whoever died in Varanasi. That's why one of the wishes of a Hindu is, if at all, if they can go to Varanasi in the lifetime and die there and have the Punya Moksha there and birth with the Lord Sai Vishwanatha. He saw it on famous Manikarnika Ghat, where dead bodies are burnt. Shiva was uttering the mantra of liberation into the earths of the dead. And whoever was cremated on the banks of the Manikarnika Ghat and died to Varanasi, there the Shiva himself utters the mantra of liberation into the earth. And Mother Kali helped him in the standing beside him. Ramakrishna met Bhairavi Brahman. Bhairavi Brahmani also here again. After a week stay at Varanasi, they visited Allahabad, Prayag, the Triveni Sangama, and had a holy dip at the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. Next, they visited Vrindavana, Mathura, Vrindavana. They visited the various temples and ghats. And Ramakrishna was filled with great spiritual emotion. There, Ramakrishna met an old lady. She was very holy and full of divine love for Krishna and Radha. As soon as she saw Ramakrishna, she recognized his greatness. She treated him tenderly as her own child. Ramakrishna to enjoy her divine company. After 15 days stay at Vrindavana, they returned to Calcutta. Vrindavana, Ramakrishna again had brought a handful of sacred dust of Mathura and Vrindavana and Braja Vrindavana. That's why it's called Braja Vrindavana. And from the holy dust, the soil of that he had brought and kept it and was worshipping. He spread and scattered it all around the temple in Dakshineshwar and in the Panchavati, where he practiced his sadhana. Panchavati is actually a grove of 5 trees of Panchavati. Ramakrishna had planted his 5 trees with his one hand. He meditated inside the grove. And last another 2 minutes, we are just coming to the end of part 1. Ramakrishna's eldest brother's son, Akshaya, was a charming person. Ramakrishna loved him so much. When he died young, when he was still young, Ramakrishna suffered a great shock at a nephew's death. At the plane of divine consciousness, death was no more than the change. Then suddenly, Mathur Mohan Babu also fell seriously ill and also died. The Mathur Babu was responsible for the Dakshineshwar temple. Then Ramakrishna foreknew these tragic events himself. He had even told some people that these things are going to happen. Like Swami many a time used to say what would happen to somebody. In a state of samadhi, he saw the virtuous soul of Mathur Babu ascend to celestial realm of the blessed. And Ma Sharda Devi, Ramakrishna's wife, married wife, came to Dakshineshwar in March 1872 to live with him. But she was weak and sick. Ramakrishna helped her to recover soon to normal health. He took upon himself to train her further in spiritual sadhana so that she could get her moksha in her own way. And as the worldly way says, she was a spiritual companion to him, whom he said, God is everybody's beloved. Just as the moon is there to everyone's child, to every child. Everyone has an equal right to pray for him. Out of his grace, he manifests himself to all who call upon him. You too will see him if you but call upon him. He made Sharda Devi also sit in the place of Mother Kali and worshipped the Sharda Devi's wife as Kali, and with full rights. She became a living presence of the universal mother to him. Everybody appeared like Kali mother to him. In the puja, he dedicated his all at the feet of Mother Devi. It marked the highest point in Ramakrishna's sadhana, high above the body consciousness. He had no trace of the sense of physical joy. He always looked upon his wife Sharda Devi as the blissful mother of the universe. And afterwards, there are few more things, and also his disciple, which we will cover in the next chapter. But finally, just as a last message, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa passed away on 16th August 1886. And then afterwards, his disciples, including Narendra, Vivekananda, and all others. And all that thing we will cover in our next week satsang, and part 2 we will be covering, and which covers also quite a lot of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's adventures, advent, and these miracles and significance, and also about the various disciples of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and the starting of the Ramakrishna mission, which is today more than 150 years old and is doing wonderful work all over the world. And that's why we will take it up in the next session. Sai Ram, thanks very much. One bhajan, and we are closing. Thank you.
Saira. पतीश्वर हे साई प्रभु ईश्वरांबनंदन साई प्रभु पतीश्वर हे साई प्रभु ईश्वर अल्लाह श्री साई राम नाम बुद्ध सुराष्ट्र साई कृष्ण नाम माधव मोहन साई नारायण माधव मोहन साई नारायण प्रेम अवतारा सत्य साई राम प्रेम अवतारा सत्य साई राम पतीश्वर हे साई प्रभु ईश्वरांबनंदन साई प्रभु ईश्वर अल्लाह श्री साई राम नाम बुद्ध सुराष्ट्र साई कृष्ण नाम माधव मोहन साई नारायण प्रेम अवतारा प्रभु साई राम प्रेम अवतारा प्रभु साई राम पतीश्वर हे साई प्रभु साई राम.
Sai Ram, and best wishes to everyone. And let Swami bring good health and prosperity to everyone. Let him bless us always. Sai Ram. Thank you. Thank all of you.